Have you ever wondered why someone who seemed so important in your life simply disappeared, changed completely, or left without giving you the answers you so desperately needed? Perhaps there is a specific person coming to mind at this very moment. Someone you trusted, someone you prayed for, someone you believed would be a part of your journey for many years. But somehow, everything changed. The conversations dwindled, the connection weakened, the relationship ended. And since then, one question continues to echo in her heart. Why? If you're going through this right now, stay with me until the end of this message. What you're about to discover could completely change how you view every painful goodbye you've ever faced. The truth is, there are moments in life when losing someone hurts more than we can explain. It's not just the absence of the person, it's the confusion. It's the unanswered questions. It's reliving situations in your mind, repeatedly trying to understand where everything went wrong. It's talking to God in silence and asking, "Sir, why did this happen?" It's about trying to find meaning in something that seems to make no sense at all. Have you ever experienced this? Have you ever felt abandoned by someone you loved? Have you ever felt left behind? Have you ever wondered why certain people left your life just when you needed them most? Most people believe that every loss is a failure, that every separation is a sign of rejection, that every goodbye means something went wrong. But what if I told you that's not always the case? What if what broke your heart is actually connected to God's protection about your life? Stop for a moment and think about it. What if God sees something you can't see? What if he knew exactly where that relationship, friendship, or connection was leading you, even when everything seemed normal on the surface? The Bible constantly reminds us that God's thoughts are higher than ours. God sees the future, while we only see the present. He sees hidden intentions. He sees unseen dangers. He sees consequences that have not yet happened. He sees doors that have not yet been opened. While you're focused on the person you lost, God may be focused on God, what is freeing you from. And this is precisely where many people encounter difficulties. Because when God works behind the scenes, it doesn't always seem like a good thing at first. Sometimes God's protection looks like distance. Sometimes God's mercy looks like a closed door. Sometimes God's guidance comes through situations we would never choose to experience. That's why so many people spend months, or even years, suffering for someone God never intended to be in their lives forever. This doesn't mean that every person who leaves is bad. It doesn't mean your pain isn't real. It doesn't mean God ignores your tears. On the contrary, God knows every tear you've shed. He knows every night you tried to understand what happened. He knows every moment your heart felt broken. But perhaps there's a much deeper reason behind that farewell than you imagined. Perhaps there is someone watching this video now who has spent months blaming themselves for something God was using to protect them. Someone who keeps asking, why did that person leave, when the real question should be, what was God trying to protect me from? If this message is speaking to you right now, write in the comments, God is working behind everything. Not because you've already understood everything that happened. Not because the pain has completely disappeared. But because you are choosing to trust that God continues to work, even when the answers haven't yet arrived. And the most interesting thing is that what happened after that person left your life can reveal something you never noticed before. Because often, the story isn't about the person who left. The real story begins the moment God decides to make room for something much greater. And the first sign of that might be closer than you imagine. And while you reflect on all of this, I'd like to hear your story. Because something I've learned over time is that many of the people who reach out to this type of message are carrying very similar questions. Perhaps the circumstances are different. Perhaps the names are different. But the pain, the confusion, and the search for answers are usually the same. So, if this message makes sense to you, leave the following phrase in the comments. God is working behind everything. And if you feel in your heart, please share your experience as well. Has someone left your life and you still can't understand why? Is there a situation you believe God might be using for your growth? I really want to know. And I'm sure many other people watching will also be encouraged by reading your testimony. Sometimes a single message in the comments can be exactly what someone else needed to read today to keep going. You never know how God might use your experience to strengthen the faith of someone going through the same struggle. And if this content has touched your heart so far, feel free to leave your comment as well. Like in this video. It may seem like something simple, but it helps this message reach more people who are facing difficult times. People who may be looking for answers, comfort, and direction right now. And if you enjoy content that combines faith, hope, spiritual growth, and biblical teachings applied to real-life challenges, subscribe to the channel in this way. You will continue to receive messages like this one, which have helped thousands of people see their struggles from a different perspective in the light of God's Word. Your participation here is not just support for the channel. It's part of something much bigger. Every comment, every like, and every subscription helps this message reach further, touching hearts that may be going through one of the most difficult phases of their lives. Now, there's something most people never realize when someone important leaves their life. A silent, yet extremely revealing detail that can completely change how you interpret certain farewells. And it's precisely there that we begin to understand that perhaps nothing happened by chance. Let's delve even deeper into this. What if what you called a loss was, in fact, a divine intervention? Think for a moment. How many times have you looked at a situation solely based on how you felt at that instant? We are naturally guided by emotions. When someone leaves, we feel pain. When a door closes, we feel frustration. When a relationship ends, we feel rejection. But God doesn't only work with what we are feeling in the present. He works with what is yet to come. Perhaps the question isn't why that person left. Perhaps the question is, what did God know that you didn't already know? If you believe that God can see far beyond what your eyes can see today, write in the comments, God sees what I do not yet see. The truth is that there are dangers that don't reach us precisely because God interrupts them beforehand. There are influences that seem harmless, but that could completely alter our journey. There are people who, without us realizing it, begin to affect our decisions, our mindset, our faith, and even our identity. This doesn't always happen dramatically. Often it happens silently, right behind the scenes. That's why some departures are so difficult to understand. Because God isn't just reacting to the present. He's protecting your future. He sees consequences that haven't happened yet. He sees paths we haven't yet walked. He sees impacts we can't yet imagine. And when we understand this, we begin to realize that some goodbyes may have been blessings in disguise, which will only be understood years later. I want to ask you a sincere question. Have you ever stopped to think that God might have prevented something terrible from happening without you even realizing it? If this reflection resonates with you, right? God is protecting me even without me realizing it. There is another extremely important detail. Not all the people who enter our lives are destined to stay forever. Some arrive for a specific season. Others arrive only to teach us something. Some are part of a chapter of our story, but not the entire book. This doesn't mean they're bad. It just means their purpose, they had a specific time limit. The problem is that often we try to carry into the future people who belonged only to the past. And when we do that, we create resistance against the transformation that God is bringing about. Because every new phase requires new adjustments. Every evolution requires changes. Every journey of growth requires leaving something behind. If you believe that God is leading you to a new phase of your life, write in the comments, I am moving forward toward God's purpose. And here's something fascinating. Before certain separations occur, God often sends us signs. Small signs, subtle changes, situations that seem like coincidences, conversations that start to get strange, a restlessness that's hard to explain, a persistent feeling that something is no longer aligned as it once was. Many people ignore these signs because they continue to focus only on what they want to keep. But God, in His wisdom, often speaks through circumstances. If you feel that God has been speaking to you through situations you're experiencing today, right? I am attentive to the voice of God. And there's a sign that is often misinterpreted by almost everyone, the distance. When someone distances themselves, our minds automatically interpret that as rejection. But what if not all distance is rejection? What if some distances are, in fact, protection? Sometimes God creates space between you and certain people because He is preserving your heart, because He is preventing greater wounds, because He is preparing you for something you cannot yet see. If you believe that God is protecting your path, even when you don't understand everything, right? God is watching over my path. The problem is that many people get stuck right at this point. They spend months trying to rebuild what God is dismantling. They spend years chasing connections that have already served their purpose. And the more they insist, the more they prolong a cycle of suffering that should have ended long ago. It takes courage to trust God when your feelings tell you otherwise. It takes faith to accept that not everything that leaves your life is meant to stay. If you choose to trust God more than your own emotions, write this down. I choose to trust in God. Because something powerful happens when God removes certain people. A space is created, and that space never stays empty forever. God doesn't just remove people to take them away. He removes them to prepare. He removes them to align. He removes them to make way for something that makes sense with the purpose He is building for you. If you believe that God is preparing something better for your life right now, write in the comments, God is preparing something greater for me. And it is precisely when this space appears that many people enter a phase that seems contradictory, but which may conceal one of the greatest transformations of their entire spiritual journey. Perhaps you still don't have all the answers today. Perhaps some goodbyes still hurt. Perhaps there are situations you still can't fully understand. But one thing becomes clear when we look at everything we've discussed so far. God never loses control of His story. Even when something seems confusing to us, He continues working behind the scenes, aligning paths, protecting destinies, and preparing what our eyes cannot yet see. And perhaps the greatest demonstration of faith isn't immediately understanding why someone left your life. Perhaps the greatest demonstration of faith is trusting that God knows exactly what He's doing, even when you only see pieces of the bigger picture. Before leaving this video, make a profound declaration of faith. Write in the comments, I accept whom God removes and trust in whom He sends. I want to see how many people today are choosing to trust in God's plan instead of surrendering to their own feelings. And when you read the comments of other people making the same statement, you'll realize you're not alone on this journey. If this message brought clarity, comfort, or a new perspective to your heart, please leave a like. This helps this content continue reaching people who are also trying to understand God's ways during difficult times in life. And if you enjoy profound messages about faith, purpose, spiritual growth, and the signs God leaves along our journey, subscribe to the channel. That way, you can continue to receive content that helps you overcome daily battles in the light of His Word. And now, there's a video appearing on the screen that perfectly complements what we discussed today. It will help you understand even more the signs, processes, and purposes that God is developing in your life at this very moment. Click on it and stay with me there. I'm sure the next message will answer something you've been praying for a long time.